You're dialed in to the Dawg Pound Podcast, your weekly shot of Cleveland Browns recaps, reactions, and rants with your hosts, John Drake and Chris Aiken.
Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural episode of the Dawg Pound Podcast. I am one of your two incredible hosts, John Drake. With me is my very, very good friend, Chris Aiken. What's up, man?
What is up, man? How we doing?
Excellent. I figured we would start very quickly before we get into yesterday's game, just explaining a little bit of why we're doing this and our two different levels of fandom, considering you're the more intelligent, reasonable one when it comes to football.
You think?
Just a little bit, man. I'm definitely the homer, and I can have an honest conversation, but I have to admit that I always have the orange-colored glasses on, and I can't help it. So, been a fan since January of '86. I saw the Browns and Dolphins in the AFC wildcard game, and I literally have not missed a single regular season or playoff kickoff on television, radio, or in person ever since. So that's my level of fandom. I am a pseudo season ticket holder in the lower Dawg Pound. We'll see how many games I get to go to this year, but we were going to buy tickets, and my father-in-law got kind of pissed off that we kept spending money on it, even though he's a huge Browns fan. So a friend of mine bought the tickets, and we're just kind of going back and forth with whoever wants to go to the game. So if he doesn't want to go to the games this year, I'll go to all of them. So we'll see what happens. But that's my fandom. I am a Dawg Pound season ticket holder, basically. So
sure.
I'm that crazy idiot on TV. So what about you, man?
Well, I am not going to any games this year. I'll tell you that now. I hate the cold and I hate the weather, so I avoid it. But I love the team. I love watching it. I've been going and watching since longer than you. I hate to say how long it's been, but I think the first game I went to was in the 75, 76. You know, my dad used to take me to the old Muni, and I've been to many games. I've been kicked out of a few games for nice. For fighting with various Steeler fans, and once a Jet fan. So I'm passionate about it, but I'm certainly much more reasonable about it than you. I was not on the same train as you. Buying Trent Richardson a yellow jacket for the Hall of Fame on the first week of training camp.
I was wondering how long it would take you to bring up the Trent Richardson incident.
Well, there was that. There was Brandon Weeden. This guy's got some talent. He's going to be good.
I know. See, you always get that one wrong. I said, I hope he's got talent. I mean, there were all the rage was that video of him breaking clay pigeons with throwing, like it was like, skeet shooting. And I was like, well, I hope he can do that in a game. And I mean, I don't know. That one I was kind of seemed kind of like a reach to me, but
that guy stared down receivers more than I stare down the white line if I'm drunk driving home. For God's sakes, right. Dude, that guy was a dead giveaway everywhere he was going to throw the ball.
It was so funny because his first season he really didn't do that, and I was in the pound for a lot of games, and I was like, okay, well he's not staring guys down. This is a good sign. Very next season, his second year, we go to the one of the preseason games. And it was awful. I was like, oh, boy, this ain't good. And sure enough, he just regressed so badly.
Well, you get hit like 175 times in one season, and that'll get you scared to where you're like, let me look where I'm going to throw it. Let me throw it. Let me get it out of here. Let me not get hurt again.
Yeah, he just wants to get it the hell out of his hand. Hot potato.
Get rid of it. Quick. Here, Richardson, with your stuttery feet, you take it.
Right. Well, since we're on the topic of getting rid of it quick, since a lot of that did not happen yesterday, why don't we jump into the Steeler game?
All right.
Since we had the oddity that is a tie.
Yes.
That was definitely strange. So we'll start with. I mean, what were your initial impressions of the game? We'll start right there.
Well, one, and I know you're the same way with this, I hated the ending. I hated the tie. There's no reason in professional football that we can get to the end of a game and say, well, I guess we played the same. I guess that's good enough. That's just dumb. Yeah. It's time for sudden death in this thing. Somebody's got to win these games. That half game is way too important at the end of the season. Probably not for us, but still, it's way too important in standings. if the Steelers end up getting home field advantage in the AFC playoffs by a half a game, that's garbage. Either win the game or lose. And I've always thought that. This is not a new thought, but
no, it's funny because I was listening to the radio this morning, and they were actually going through a list of teams that made the playoffs because of the fact that they had a tie in the standings. And I was like, okay, well, so I get for us, I'm like, okay, well, we need all the help we can get. So maybe it's a good thing. But it's all a product of the Players Association wanting less snaps and all this injury concern and all that. They decided to say one overtime and that's it in the regular season.
Sure.
And to the point where I didn't even know. I don't know where the hell my head was at, but I didn't know that they had lessened the time in overtime from 15 minutes to 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, when the hell did they do that? And the guy behind me was like, yeah, that was a couple of years ago. I'm like, where the hell was I?
Yeah, those dopey announcers yesterday, they're like, wow, this overtime's going by pretty fast. I was like, yeah, because there's 5 less minutes, you dummies.
Yeah, it's like what you set your clock on in Madden. I was like, what the hell? So
exactly.
That was, I was definitely not a fan.
It felt hot.
I don't know. It was at that point, I was soaking wet.
Right.
And I cannot remember being more up and down in a Browns game. And I really can't remember when, because the one thing that I did notice was, this year is like a weird season ticket holder thing, as I explained, but Steph and I, the previous 6 years, have been season ticket holders, in the Dawg Pound.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy really was different. I know that it was talked about in the preseason about how, it's a different vibe with this team. It really was. When they came out of the tunnel, it was different. The fans were different. And so there really is, some change there.
Sure.
So that was really cool. But then, it's like, Tyrod Taylor, I don't think he was nearly as bad as some of the national guys are saying, but he wasn't great by any means. But it was, I was like all pumped up, and then, as it gets to 21-7, and you're just going, oh God, are we going to do this again?
Right.
You had that feeling, but then all of a sudden, they come back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally a feeling of, is this really happening? Like, we actually have a shot at this. I looked over at Steph with about 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. It was 21-7, and I said, we need like a turnover and a quick 7 right now. Like, we have to have 7 minutes on the clock and have this be a 1-score game if we're going to do something with this,
Right.
And that's pretty much what happened. I was like, oh my God, it was different. And then they get the ball back with 2 minutes left or whatever it was, and they actually put it in the end zone again. I was shocked.
Sure. Well, and dude, there's definitely a different energy. It's all different players, so there better be a different energy. And I think John Dorsey, definitely a piece of what he was looking for was guys that are a lot more hungry. And, Tyrod Taylor, say what you want about him. He was 15 for 40. He's a big coward about going over the middle of the field, and that just drives me insane. You got arguably the best. Even if you don't want to say the best, you got one of the top 5 guys out there with Gordon that can take the ball and run with it. Can break a tackle and go. And I don't know, did you get to watch the Packer game last night or no?
No, I was asleep.
Okay, well, that's fine. Well, near the end of the game, Aaron Rodgers has a busted up knee. He's on one leg, and he throws a pass right down the middle, standing in traffic, caught by Randall Cobb, who takes one step and gone to the house. It was like an 80-yard touchdown run. Now, that's Randall Cobb, who does not have the skill. He's a good player, but he does not have the skills of Josh Gordon. And Taylor, I get why he doesn't give up interceptions. He doesn't take any chances. But, my God, we've got Landry, Gordon, Callaway,
Njoku?
Njoku. I got things to say about that bum. But who's the other receiver? Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins.
We got 4 quality receivers, and I don't think he had 4 quality plays across the middle during the game. And you can't say that it's the receiver's fault, because on the other side of the ball yesterday is the best receiver in the NFL, and he was over the middle half the time.
Yep.
So, and Todd Haley taught him that. So, for God's sakes, either Haley's not doing his job, or Hugh is stopping him, or Tyrod's just not doing what he's being coached, but there's a major breakdown with the receivers. It's the strongest position we have as a team.
Well, see, and you can't really get this off the television.
Mm-hmm.
And, from where I was sitting, you could see, the plays from behind.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, he had guys were open over the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the amount of times we were all going, oh, there he is. Oh, it was, I mean, he had them there. And he just, like you said, he was not pulling the trigger. And, everyone's acting surprised today, but it's like the knocks on Tyrod Taylor have been there the whole time. Buffalo was telling us, look, he holds onto the ball too long. He takes sacks. He likes to run. And he doesn't, drive the ball down the field. And, he got sacked 7 times. And everyone's saying, oh, the offensive line played like crap, which it wasn't great. I mean, Desmond Harrison was a joke in the first half. He got better as the game went on, which I thought was a good sign. But they were, I saw a stat today that said of the 32 starting NFL quarterbacks yesterday, Tyrod Taylor, I saw one that said 7th and one that said 6th. He had either the 6th or 7th most amount of time to throw.
Sure.
So the opportunities were there. And granted, everyone's like, oh, the weather was so bad. I'm here to tell you it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
Right.
It wasn't really pounding rain until about, near the end of the fourth quarter in the overtime. And the wind never really quite picked up like it was supposed to. So the opportunities were there. And he just did not take advantage of them. And, one thing I'll say, and because this will be a topic, as we go and do the podcast on the road, I am an absolutely enormous Baker Mayfield guy.
Sure.
Like, I just, I've never bought a player jersey unless they were retired, because I never want to be that guy that's like, oh, yeah, here's my, Justin Gilbert jersey. And then 2 years later, the thing is worth anything,
Right.
Like,
hey, I still got a Peyton Hillis sitting in my closet, so.
My wife, Steph, has one too. Oh, my God. That's like the year I got her an Anderson Varejao jersey from the Cavs, and like 2 months later, they let him go. They traded him or whatever.
Nice.
But, no, I mean, and I fully support, starting Tyrod. I'm not one of those guys, even though I'm a huge Baker guy, I'm not calling for him to come in. That's just ridiculously stupid to build up this quarterback plan all year and then one game you go away from it. But the one thing that I noticed yesterday was in those instances where those guys are open down the middle of the field, I had said during preseason, you and I had talked, I said that the passing offense, even though it's against second stringers and whatnot, the passing offense looked so much more smooth with Baker running it.
Sure.
And all I could think about yesterday was all the missed opportunities for these chunk plays down the middle of the field, because Baker gets rid of the ball very quickly and he's very accurate. And I started thinking down the road, I'm like, we really might have a killer offense once he gets in there.
Well, and the thing is, and I like what I saw of Baker. I mean, as you know, I don't watch college football, so I don't, and I purposely don't watch college football because, that basic watching college football is kind of like watching preseason football to me. It's a bunch of guys that are not good enough to be in the pros.
Especially the first few weeks of the season, yeah.
So in college, the quarterbacks that are lighting it up are generally lighting it up against guys that will not make the NFL. So it's the same as preseason,
Sure.
So therefore, I don't give a lot of stock to that. Mayfield looked good in preseason against the players that he plays against, and he should. That being said, if Taylor's the guy, that's fine. I'm all for Taylor getting the hell beat out of him for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks, whatever it is, until this line comes together. Once Hugh or Haley or whomever that couldn't figure out until week of game who they were going to put out there on the line, I was glad that it was Taylor out there taking the beating. Because this is what we've done here since 99. We've put in quarterbacks with no experience, let them get their asses handed to them, and then they lose their confidence and can't play. And you can run down the list, whether it's Couch, whether it's Quinn, whether it's what was
Kelly Holcomb.
Kelly Holcomb,